Ever wonder how your body fights off those pesky germs on your skin? And what if I told you that same germ buster could be used outside your body?
It'd be powerful, but also, incredibly gentle.
Exactly. Welcome to Digitalopolis Discussions. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something called hypochlorous acid, HOCl for short.
You might also hear it called electrolyzed water. Same thing, really.
Right. And it's fascinating because, well, it has this sort of double life.
It does. On one hand, it's made by our own immune system. Our white blood cells actually produce it.
And on the other hand,
We can make it ourselves.
yeah.
It's basically a weak acid formed when you mix chlorine and water under the right conditions.
So our mission today is to unpack what makes this HOCl so unique. We want to explore its potential for everyday life, looking at, what the research says about how well it works and where it can be used.
Okay, let's start with the body itself. Inside us, we have these white blood cells called neutrophils. They're like the first responders of the immune system.
And they make this stuff.
They do. They use a special enzyme to, manufacture hypochlorous acid right on the spot when they encounter bacteria or other invaders.
So it's like their own built-in disinfectant.
Pretty much. It acts as a natural antiseptic, a key part of our skin's defense system.
Which really highlights that this isn't some harsh foreign chemical in that context. It's
Homegrown.
absolutely. Our bodies have been using it forever. Now, scientists first identified it back in the 1800s.
Okay, so it's not exactly new then?
Not at all. And interestingly, its potential for cleaning wounds was recognized quite early on. Research shows it was actually used during World War I for that purpose.
World War I. Wow. Before widespread antibiotics, that must have been quite something.
Definitely. Imagine trying to manage battlefield wounds back then.
Now, fast forward quite a bit, and it only received specific approval for certain medical uses around 2016.
So a long history, but kind of a recent surge in, let's say, official recognition.
You could say that. It signals growing scientific validation.
Okay, let's get into the science a bit. What makes it work so well, but also safely? You mentioned chlorine and water.
Right. Chemically, it's very simple. Just hydrogen, oxygen, and chlorine, HOCl. But the key thing, the really crucial part, is its pH level.
The acidity or alkalinity?
Exactly. Its effectiveness, its germ-killing power, really depends on where it sits on that pH scale. Research breaks it down into three main forms.
Okay, and what are they?
Well, at a very low pH, very acidic, say 0 to 3, you mostly get chlorine gas, not what we want for skincare.
Right.
Then at the other end, a high pH, like 8 to 14, more alkaline or soapy, as you put it earlier, it becomes hypochlorite. That's the active ingredient in household bleach.
Bleach. Okay, still pretty harsh.
Can be, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually less effective at killing germs compared to the middle ground. The sweet spot is a pH between about 4 and 7, maybe ideally 5 to 6. That's where you get hypochlorous acid itself.
And that's the most effective form. Why is that specific pH range so important?
It comes down to electrical charge. At that near neutral pH, the HOCl molecule doesn't really have a strong positive or negative charge. It's neutral.
And that matters because
Because the outer surfaces of bacteria and viruses are often negatively charged. Hypochlorite, the bleach ingredient, is also negatively charged, so they kind of repel each other.
like trying to push two magnets together the wrong way.
Exactly. But the neutral HOCl, it can just slip right through the pathogen's defenses, its cell wall or membrane.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's like it has a universal key. And research suggests it's actually better at killing germs than bleach in this form.
At the right concentration and pH, yes. Significantly more effective in some studies. And the amazing part is it achieves this at really low concentrations, usually between 0.0005% and 0.02%.
Which explains why it can be so gentle, even while being so effective.
Precisely. That low concentration is key to its safety profile.
So how does it actually do the killing once it gets inside? You said it mimics our immune system.
Right. It works much like those neutrophils we talked about. Once the neutrophil engulfs a microbe, it releases HOCl to basically break down the pathogen's essential components, like its cell walls and proteins. It dismantles it from the inside out.
It's like phagocytosis, but using this specific chemical weapon.
You got it. And another important thing research shows is its ability to break down biofilms.
Biofilms. Those are the slimy layers bacteria form, like plaque on teeth.
Exactly. They're like protective shields for bacteria, making them really hard to kill with normal disinfectants. HOCl seems to be quite good at penetrating and disrupting those, which is a big deal for things like chronic wounds.
Okay, so that leads us nicely into the benefits and uses. It sounds incredibly versatile.
It really is. The general advantages research points to are non-toxic, non-irritating, mimicking the body, often cost-effective. Oh, and a practical one, it doesn't bleach fabrics.
Always a bonus. Let's start with wound healing. You mentioned chronic wounds, like diabetic foot ulcers.
Yes, research shows promising results there, and for general wound care too. It seems to have some key advantages over older treatments.
Such as?
Well, unlike some common antibiotic creams, like those with neomycin, it doesn't seem to cause allergic reactions. And unlike hydrogen peroxide, it doesn't appear to slow down the healing process by harming healthy cells.
That's a big one. Hydrogen peroxide can actually damage healing tissue.
Right, it can, yeah. And HOCl is generally considered safe even around sensitive areas like the eyes and ears, which isn't true for everything, like chlorhexidine, for instance.
So it targets the bad guys without hurting the good guys trying to repair the damage. And some research suggests it might even reduce scarring.
That's the idea. By keeping infection down and reducing inflammation without damaging tissue, it could lead to better healing outcomes with less noticeable scarring. It's even being used in some dermatologic surgery settings now.
Okay, what about everyday skin issues? Like acne?
Yeah, that's another area of interest.
Yeah.
Research suggests HOCl can directly target the bacteria most associated with acne, Cutibacterium acnes.
And does it help with the redness and swelling, too?
It seems to. Studies indicate it helps reduce inflammation, tackling acne from two different angles.
What's really interesting from what I've read, based on user reports mainly, is that you can apparently spray it on throughout the day, even over makeup, without that awful drying effect you get from, say, benzoyl peroxide.
That's a big practical benefit people report, definitely. Makes it potentially useful for maskne or breakouts athletes get under helmets or pads. Just a quick spritz.
Now, we should probably mention strong clinical trials specifically for acne are maybe still a bit limited.
That's fair. A lot of the evidence is positive user feedback, and the underlying science makes sense, but large controlled trials are still emerging for that specific use. We see something similar with eczema or atopic dermatitis.
Eczema, right. How might it help there?
Research shows it can reduce the amount of Staphylococcus aureus bacteria on the skin. People with eczema often have more of this bacteria, and it can worsen flare-ups.
And the inflammation and itch.
It seems to help soothe that too, according to studies and patient reports. And for eczema sufferers, having something non-irritating and pH neutral is huge. So many cleansers can be harsh.
Plus, you can reapply it without wincing. That sounds helpful, especially for sweat-induced flares after exercise.
Exactly. Quick, easy, gentle relief. And think about hand sanitizers.
Ah, yes. After the past few years, we all know about dry, cracked hands from alcohol sanitizers.
Right. Research confirms HOCl is effective against viruses, including the COVID-19 virus and bacteria, but it's much gentler on the skin barrier.
Less stripping, no burning sensation if you have a small cut?
Generally, yes. It can really help prevent that hand eczema that became so common with constant sanitizing.
Okay, beyond skin and wounds, are there other, maybe more surprising uses?
Oh, definitely. Research has explored some really varied applications. NASA looked into it for disinfecting surfaces on space missions. Non-toxic is pretty important in a sealed environment.
Makes sense.
It's also shown effectiveness against superbugs like MRSA, a major hospital concern.
And you mentioned earlier no known microbial resistance. That's huge compared to antibiotics.
It's a massive potential advantage. Bacteria don't seem to figure out a way to defend against its mechanism easily, unlike antibiotics, where resistance is a constant battle.
What else?
Let's see. Research suggests some tattoo artists use it for aftercare because it disinfects without messing with the ink or slowing healing. It's used in agriculture to wash produce and extend shelf life by killing mold and bacteria.
Wow. Keep going.
Disinfecting beards, apparently.
Oh?
Safe for pets, so good for general first aid there, too. Major airlines like Delta have used it for cabin disinfection. Dentists, hospitals, food industry, vets. Even greenhouses use it to clear out biofilms from irrigation systems.
It's almost like a Swiss Army knife of disinfectants. Cold fogging for rooms. Body odor.
Yep, all applications that research has explored or are in use. It targets the bacteria causing odor.
Okay, so if someone wants to try it, how do they actually use it? Is it complicated?
Not at all. Based on the research, it's usually just a spray. Spray it on your skin, hands, the affected area, and that's it. No need to rinse.
Does it feel like anything? Or smell?
It dries very quickly. Some people notice a very faint, temporary chlorine-like smell, like a swimming pool far away, but it usually disappears almost immediately. It's not overpowering like bleach.
And can you use it with other skincare, like moisturizers?
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
Research indicates it's fine to layer things over it, especially for conditions like eczema, where you'd apply HOCl first, Let it dry, then put on your moisturizer or medicated cream.
When's the best time to use it?
A good routine, suggested by some dermatologists based on research, is often in the morning after cleansing. Let your face dry, spray it on.
Spray directly. Or use a cotton pad.
Either works. For the face, a spray is easy. Around the eyes, maybe spray onto clean fingertips or a cotton pad first for more control, though it is considered eye safe.
Okay, now, there must be some important things to keep in mind, some cautions.
Absolutely. One really key point from the research: you need to let it dry completely before applying anything else, especially certain active ingredients.
Which ones?
Primarily antioxidants,
Yeah.
like vitamin C serums. HOCl is an oxidant, that's how it works. Vitamin C is an antioxidant. If you put them on at the same time, they can basically cancel each other out.
So the HOCl would inactivate the vitamin C.
Exactly. Same goes for retinoids. Best practice, according to research, is to let the HOCl fully dry first, or even better, use them at different times of day. Maybe HOCl in the morning, antioxidant, or retinoid at night.
Got it. Separate them. And it's important to remember this isn't a cure-all, right?
Definitely not. Research supports it as a great adjunct or supportive product, but it's not meant to replace prescription treatments for severe eczema or acne, for example. And it doesn't replace cleansing your skin.
And we touched on this, but for things like acne and scarring, while the anecdotal reports are strong and dermatologists are seeing good results, the large-scale clinical trial evidence is still developing.
Correct. There's solid science for its antimicrobial action and wound healing properties. But for some specific cosmetic applications like scar reduction, more rigorous trials would strengthen the evidence base further. Still, the real-world results are encouraging many experts.
Okay, so wrapping up. The big picture here seems to be that hypochlorous acid is this really versatile, maybe even underrated ingredient.
I think that's fair to say. Research highlights its value especially for certain groups: people with sensitive skin, acne-prone skin, those constantly using hand sanitizers.
It offers this potential for safe, really rapid disinfection across so many areas. And the fact that it's derived from such simple ingredients, salt, water, electricity, basically is pretty amazing.
And, as we discussed, research consistently points to it being much safer than bleach for direct skin contact and many disinfection tasks.
So the key takeaway: hypochlorous acid is this fascinating substance, born from our own biology, that research shows can be a safe, effective, antimicrobial powerhouse in many different settings.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Considering its natural role in all these uses we've discussed, what other everyday products could potentially benefit from this gentle yet powerful compound?
A great thought to leave our listeners with. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
And if you liked being with us, please subscribe for more great content like this.